Skye here with Scrap with Skye. Thanks for joining me for this quick tip and trick tutorial on how to make the most of your scraps. So in order to do that, we need to have a good system in place on how to store and organize them. That way we've got them at our fingertips, we know what we have, and we can make the most of them by using them on our projects and maybe even create projects that are just scraps, or if the scraps are the highlight of the project. So what I'm going to do is show you how I organize and store my scraps, talk a little bit about which scraps I keep and which scraps I don't keep, and then show you some examples of how I've used some scraps on pages and projects going back years. And then talk a little bit about the different types of projects that you can use scraps on. And then lastly, we'll do a quick little project using some scraps so you can see how I might make use of something for a quick and easy element for our page. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to my desktop camera and show you some of my organization methods for using my scraps. So let's first talk about paper scraps. These are going to be my solids and mostly cardstock scraps. So they go in Power Project folders, organized by color. I have a lot of color categories, colors in their own categories, because there are so many variations. So within aquas, as you can see, we've got lighter and darkers. I also have blue. I actually have two green folders for sort of olive shades and regular greens. So kind of just depending on what you have a lot of, you might find that you might break it down into more subcategories. But organizing by color is my first breakdown of sorting. And then I create sections based on different sizes and shades. So for my aquas, for example, there's darker shades over here, lighter shades over here. These are two smaller pockets. These pieces are generally going to be pieces that are big enough to maybe make a punch out of, or to back a journal box or something like that. These are similar, except they're longer. So this pocket holds longer pieces, but they're not the full 12-inch size strips. And then in this middle section, this is where I would put much larger pieces, or pieces that are big enough to create a photo mat. So for example, this sheet is just a 12 by 12. It's just got this one little cut out of it. So I put the rest of that in there. Clearly, I didn't go through my scraps when I did that to cut that circle out. And then on the back, these are where my 12-inch long pieces that are less than 6 inches wide. So this is really my go-to section for when I'm looking for pieces that I might put a border together. In some cases, I've already got a border cut out that I had cut and then decided not to use. There might be pieces that have a decorative edge on them, but these are going to be all 12-inch pieces here. And then over in this section, this is where I've put my decorative designer paper scraps. And again, these are going to be all monotone. I keep a separate project folder for multicolor pieces. And I also keep a separate one for metallics, shimmery metallics. So that's how I organize these. I've got, one for every shade that you can possibly imagine. And in here, you'll notice I do have some smaller scraps. I tend to keep smaller pieces of designer paper. I don't really know why. Solids and cardstock, I wouldn't do so much. This piece, I could definitely use it, but it's kind of borderline for what I might keep. I try not to keep anything that I can't use on a border, or take a punch out of it. So that's how I store my paper scraps that are not part of a collection. Now, for those scraps that the collection it no longer has any full 12 by 12 pieces. I'm kind of down to my last bits and bobs, but I might have some papers, I might have some embellishments. I use the sticker bag to store what's left. So I'll take them out of their collection project folder and put them in, just consolidate everything down. So this one, for example, I've got some layered embellishments, some embossed embellishments. I've got scraps of paper. Some of them are full length size. Some of them are a little bit smaller. And then there's also some stickers in here, sticker sheets. So I've just consolidated everything that fits into this bag. And, with something like this, I am going to be able to use it on a page or two still. It's not hasn't quite been depleted enough to relegate into going into one of the strictly scrap bags. So that's how I organize my scraps. Let's take a look at some projects that I've made using scraps. So you can make borders with scraps. And here's a great example of one where I've done that. This happened to all be within the same collection, but you could certainly do this by mixing and matching different collections. And that's what I think is kind of fun about using scraps, is really coming up with clever combinations and new ways to do it. And you'll notice on this one, I also used bits of sticker and some punches. So you can just, kind of do just about anything you wanted to do um, for for those types of borders, any elements, adding textures and things. This is using a project recipe, and I love the project recipes, excuse me, not project recipe, recipe template. For a lot of reasons. They're very impactful. I love them on a cover page, as this is, but it is also a great way to use up your scraps. So if you're not familiar with the recipe templates, this is what they look like. They are a Mylar plastic template that you lay over, and I don't know how well you can see, but you can trace the size and shape of each little segment, and then you cut that out, and then you can put it all together. A little bit paper piecing type of style of project, but a great way to use scraps. And this is just, like I said, I feel like they're so impactful and really give you a lot of bang on your page. Um, Another cover page example is this one. Here I've used different papers, again, within the same collection, to create these triangles that surround that. I'll give you an example of an alternative. This is the same page pattern, except I've used large triangles around the outside and then stripes on the inside, big diamond. And this was a great example of pulling papers from lots of different collections. I think this one even might have been off of a journal mat. These red stripe and red dot was definitely not part of a Christmas collection. So this was a fun way to kind of pull together various papers from various collections and put them together to make a fun decorative element on my page. So that particular style, that layout was great for using scraps. Here's another example of a border using triangles, nice impact on the bottom, using lots of different colors. It's a great way to add patterns and color to your pages. And got a couple more examples in this one. Here's a grid style, just 2-inch squares to fill a whole page, and different patterns and colors. Great use of scraps, and also really fun. So that's a grid style. And then this is a mosaic style. So there's a circle in the back, and on that circle, there's different layers of different patterns of papers. So um, I showed you borders. I showed you the grid style page. We talked about how to use recipe templates. And then lastly, the mosaic style. So why don't we do a quick little mosaic as an example of how I put one together. So the tools that I always keep handy when I'm doing using scraps is my little trimmer, because sometimes you need to cut some down or trim off a rough edge. Um, I keep always keep this handy no matter what I'm working on, but it's especially helpful for using scraps. This is my multi-purpose tool. It's got a nice little lift on the end and a little point on the other end that helps you position things. This is a lifter stick. I'll show you how this works, but this is great for anytime you have a small piece of paper and you need to kind of move it around. Repositional tape runner is a must. It is when using small pieces of paper or piecing, it just is super, super useful and handy for that. And then when I use my repositional tape runner, I always use my silicone mat. And for this, and I keep a pair of scissors handy as well. So let's make a mosaic heart. It's Valentine's Day is coming up. So I'm going to use my custom cutting system template. I'm just going to draw the heart shape so that I know where my pieces of paper need to go. That's just kind of a guide or a template that I'm using. And then once we've got all the pieces on, I'll use the template to cut. So I pulled my pink papers. I don't use pink a lot, so I thought this would be kind of a fun way to use up some pink things. And let's just take a quick, this one, I saw this right away. This has, you might not be able to tell, but it has like a little kind of confetti hearts on it. So that's definitely something I want to use. Let's pull out grab some of these. I love a good plaid, and I like a stripe. That'll be pretty there. I'm just gonna trim this down as well. Oh, I like the back side of this. This pink heart had a really pretty floral. So maybe we'll put that on there too. Let me mix this up a little bit with some solids. That there. Oh, here's a shimmer, piece of shimmer. I like that as well. Put that there. Looking for ones that are just the right length, kind of some good tones. This is a fun one, the front and back. I'm gonna trim this one down. It's a little bit thick. So I'm just gonna make this a little bit narrower. That there, put in there. I might overlap this a little bit just so that it gets more on here. That and that. I just love that. It's a little bit narrow though, so I need to do that. This one, probably put that on here. And I like this as well. I could trim this down. I like both sides of it, so I'm thinking I'll just cut it. Use part of it here. Another part here. Be careful with the edges. You want to make sure that you have a big enough piece. Okay, I think that'll work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my repositional tape runner. I don't use this practice very often, but when I'm making mosaics, I just basically cover almost the whole thing with tape. And I know that sound is a little bit annoying. Sorry about that. But this just ensures that as I cut around it, it's small little bits don't come off. Okay, so I'm just gonna start here at the top and overlay these like that. And you wouldn't necessarily have to go diagonally, like I've done. I'm gonna put that in the middle there like that. It's here. You could do them horizontal or straight up and down vertical. It just really is entirely up to you for whatever the look you're going for is. And this is, I think pretty quick and easy. Sometimes the hardest part is choosing which scraps you want to use. This one didn't quite go on straight. I'm just gonna fix that, put that on there. I'm gonna put this on there like that. All right, this flower didn't make it on there, that strip. All right, so now I've covered my entire pattern. I'm gonna get that template back out and my blade, and I'm just gonna place that on there. Now, when you do use the custom cutting system like this, you want to be really careful that you've gone all the way through. So I actually really press very firmly, and I go back over my cut line just to make sure that I've gone all the way through, all the way around. Lift it up. This end here has a little bit, didn't quite go all the way through because you're cutting through multiple layers of paper here. You might be, it's going to be at least 2. In some cases, if you've got some overlap, it might be 3. So you want to make sure that you've gone completely through your pieces. So there, I've just made a really quick heart. This is so much fun. You can use this as an element on a page. A smaller version of this you could put on a card. You could, do some layering with some different embellishments on here, make a journal box out of it. The options are really, really limitless. So I might put together a quick page and take a photo of it and post it in the comments for here just to see just to show you how I've used this element on my page. But I think that it's super fun. I am very satisfied by using my scraps. I think it's just a really efficient and fun way to, make the most of your scrapbooking supplies. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick little tip and trick video. And I have posted links to the recipe templates and some of the other tools that I've used in the comments below. Thanks for joining me.